Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of November 2025. I hope you're well. I have not been, and that's why these readings are late. Apologies for that, but also, gratitude for your patience. It is much appreciated. I'm using the Tower of the Divine for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via the first link in the description box below. Alternatively, you can come join my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. Sorry, I'm just turning the cards that are the wrong way around because I like to have them all straight before I begin. Yes, the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. There you can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. You can hang out with an extraordinary group of people. You can watch the weekly energy readings that I do. They're always between, 40 to 60 minutes long every week. And if you join at the higher tier, then you can also participate in the live classes that we run over there and access the recordings for all the ones that we've done for the whole of this year. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with those links. Right, let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Sag. Could I have 3 cards for Sagittarius, please? Right, we've got the World card in your recent past. What about current energy for Sagittarius, please? We have the 6 of Wands, very nice. That's Jupiter in Leo right there. What's coming towards Sag for the rest of this month, please? What does Sagittarius have to know? Wow, we have the Empress. Right, that's a kind of nice spread actually there, Sag. Oh, my washing machine's gone into high spin. I hope you can't hear it. It's fucking rattling my floor. Anyway, 6 of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. Now, the 6 of Cups is the past. Now, the reason that we look at the bottom of the deck is because that card there tends to give us the underlying theme for whatever's going on, right? And it's themes of past. It's not an unusual card to come up when we're in a Mercury retrograde, which we are at the moment. It's peaking later this week. But it's going to continue for a couple of weeks before, I say it's peaking. It's peaking because it's happening at the same time as a new moon in Scorpio and Venus being in Scorpio and the Sun being in Scorpio. And there's this water trine going on in the sky as well that seems to be feeding everything. So Jupiter is currently in Cancer, but that's also retrograde. And of course Saturn and Neptune are also retrograde in the sign of Pisces, and the North Node's there as well. I mean, it's a very watery time. There's a watery card. But because the 6 of Cups talks about the past, and when we have planets in retrograde like we do at the moment, we are going over, reassessing, reevaluating, making sure our understanding and our doings are correct, right? Really kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's on everything. Whether that is our emotional narrative around the past, or whether it is, whether it is plans that we have created, that we've been working our way towards. This is a time for reflection where we can make sure that we're doing it all right, So let's have a look and see. It's the triple goddess we're going to use here. So we're going to get some clarifiers out and see what this is all about, because there's no doubt here that something kind of big is happening with you, but I wonder if it's feeling a little bit more subtle. And I don't know why this feeling of subtlety should be so dominant right now, but it is. It feels like it's a delicate little dance that you're playing with something here, even though these are very strong energies that are on the table. So let's have a look. Tell us about the world. Why is the world here? Right, we've got the 8 of Swords with the 4 of Cups, but we've also got the 2 of Wands and the Judgment card showing up there. Tell me about the 6 of Wands. There we go. 3 cards for that. So we've got the 5 of Wands, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and we've got the Strength card. Interesting. Tell me about the Empress, please. Well, yeah, let's just go with that, shall we? We've got the Knight of Wands and we've got the Sun card. Page of Swords is at the bottom of the deck, and so this feeling that I had initially of there being some new internal narrative that you were working to seems quite strong here, because we've got the past informing current understandings, but an idea that the current understandings are morphing and shifting into something else as well, going on simultaneously. So it's almost like the narrative around the past is changing, so the narrative around the present is changing, so the narrative about what could be in the future is also changing. And I've got to say, for you, Sag, like, this reading feels like simultaneously as transformative as every single other reading that I've done for all of the other signs for this month. But at the same time, there is a lightness here that is harder to detect in the other signs at the moment. So I'm taking that as an indication that the navigation that you are doing is a particularly proficient one. Let's put it that way. So we start over here with the World card, and we'll see that it is clarified by the Eight of Swords, the Four of Cups, and then over here the Two of Wands and the Judgment card. And maybe the biggest shift of all has happened here. Now, when I'm talking about your recent past, I could be talking about this morning. Alternatively, I really could be talking about, I don't know, up to anything to about 6 weeks back from now, right? And what's interesting is we have these two energies which are not exactly conflicting, but they're representing a shift away from a particular way of thinking about things and feeling things to something else. Now, why that should be happening for you earlier than it's happening for everyone else, I don't know. The only thing that I can think is, obviously I can't see all of your charts. I don't know if you're a 4th house sun or a 10th house sun or a 1st house sun. But certainly if you're a Sagittarius ascendant, then Scorpio represents your 12th house. And so it could be that there's all sorts of things that have been moving in there for you already, particularly around, emotional narratives of the past and stuff, such that to some extent, a lot of the work has been done by you already. Now, the World card always represents completion. It represents endings, right? So that can, it's the end of a cycle. We can see people, moving on from, one job to another. We can see people leaving areas that they've lived in and moving to a different one. There are those obvious end of chapter moments. But the World card is distinctly and energetically about a shift in our own soul's journey, right? Where we've completed a set of tasks that were, part of that cycle there, and we're getting ready to move on to the next layer with of experience, actually, right? Of understanding of everything. And the reason that I've doubled these two cards up like this is because this feels like it's something that you've circled around a lot over the course of your life. And the breakthrough that has come, that has led to the completion of this particular cycle's works, is the realization that everything comes down to choice with you. Everything comes down to whether you consent to it or not. And that includes even the narratives that are running like scripts in your subconscious. That for the most part we are completely unaware of. Now, the Eight of Swords is about mental restriction. It's not being able to see the way forward, quite often not being able to see the wood for the trees, right? But the message of this card is that the problem is not the problem. The problem is the way that we're thinking about the problem. Now, the fact that we've got this coming up under a card of completion says you have recognised that there are times where the way that you've thought about the problem has contributed to it. And then we have the Four of Cups, which card is a card for me of abandonment and rejection sensitivity, all those kind of things, right? Sometimes where we're kind of wanting to be... It's almost got like a grass is greener kind of feel to it. Look, she's staring wistfully out of the window here, and it's like she wants to be anywhere other than where she is. And what she's not recognising about where she is right now is that it is stable, it's solid, it's secure, right? And just because she can't see those 3 cups or make contact with them at that point, it doesn't mean that she can't start somewhere. Now, when you put these 2 cards together, it's like an old version of you that has fulfilled its purpose. It's like, we don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to do that anymore because we've discovered the value, the power, if you will, of conscious choice. Now, this Judgment card is fascinating. When it comes up, people have often made or are making decisions that will change the trajectory of their existence, right? It's changing their life. And then we have this Two of Wands, which is also a card of choice. It's a card of weighing up options for things. You know, we could see quite easily that this is the woman, same woman in the card. We see here, right? She was in the house, now she's outside of the house. It's like freeing yourself from your own emotional restriction and understanding that that emotional restriction or that emotional sensitivity or that emotional, fear of being rejected or whatever has led you to a situation where you have not really exercised your own free will, where you've been feeling things against your consent, which if you knew better, you would choose not to. What this is saying is that you have realized the power of this. You've realized that it is within your power to choose differently every single time you come up against something that requires, some sort of conscious intervention by you. Like, other words for this card, other keywords for this card that we can look at are things like rebirth, right? It's a sense of ascension through choice. And the choice is not, well, I'm gonna float up like I'm being abducted by aliens up here. But it's, I'm gonna refuse to sit here and feel bad about what I don't have, what I can't make contact with, about possibly internal scripts that have been telling me what the edges of my experience are, the edges of my reality are, when I know that at any given point I can choose to experience things completely fucking differently. There's something so profound about this shift here, Sagittarius. And you could say, yeah, it's just been, an attitude shift or whatever, but it runs so much deeper than that. It's understanding exactly where your power lies, and your power lies in the giving yourself permission or withholding permission. And it's as straightforward as that. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else going on that is important beyond that there. And I think having broken through that, maybe you feel like you've broken through some sort of internal restriction, we end up in the current energy, which is the Six of Wands. Now, there's an interesting sideways message on this. And I'm trying to think how to phrase it. The Six of Wands is a card of success. It's a card of victory, but it always has a slightly public component to it, right? We see this woman here on a horse. She's, she's coming back into town, being celebrated for, being victorious in something. It's the energy of winning. But the sideways observation that I would make about this is that, like that old saying, like success is like an iceberg. People only see the top 10%. They don't see the 90% of the blood, sweat and tears that went into getting you to where you are. There's something about that in your current moment that if you let it, could really piss you off. And I did say right at the beginning that I felt that there was a lightness about the way that you were navigating through. And I do feel like to some extent the lightness is kind of drawing a bit of negativity towards you. I don't think it's anything that you can't deal with. There's very little you can't deal with, Sagittarius. But it certainly seems to be kind of pulling out what is a little ugly around other people, right? Their own insecurities and whatnot. Tell me about the Six of Wands. Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups should be your emotional support network, and probably is your emotional support network. But yeah, that there's something a little bit odd about it. So I tell you what, let's talk about where you are right now, what I see about you We'll talk about that. And then let's just push the envelope out just a little bit and turn around and look outside, because I do think that there's something kind of important here. But it's not the main thrust of the message, right? So let's just put those to the side and concentrate on this Six of Wands. Like I said, it's a card of winning. It's a card of navigating successfully through and being seen by other people to do that. It's Jupiter and Leo, as you can expect. That's a big fucking energy, and it's visible from fucking miles, right? But beneath the surface, we've got the Five of Wands, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and we've got the Strength card. And this is kind of where the rub is. And I wonder if this is why this has been such a monumental shift for you. Because you're refusing to dull yourself down to make yourself comfortable for other people, right? What they don't see is how much you have struggled to get to this position that you're in. Regardless of whether you're, winning at work or winning at life, or people are looking at you and going, wow, Sag is really flying, this is amazing. It's like they cannot, and they will not, acknowledge the fact that you have put some incredible fucking work into your own internal struggles, right? You have really invested here. The Five of Wands is Saturn in Leo. It is the precursor to the Six of Wands, and it is the thing that makes the Six of Wands worth it, right? Without the carrot of a potential Six of Wands, it is unlikely that any of us would really dig into or dig in on the energy of the Five of Wands. It's like, well, if I'm not going to win, why the fuck would I bother? Like, if there's no chance of success, why would I bother? At the same time, kind of success without that is almost sort of meaningless, right? It is the amount of struggle that went into the eventual conquering of this issue that makes it so worth it, right? It gives you something to really enjoy. But people can't see that because it's below the radar, right? Ace of Pentacles there. You have invested everything that you have in getting your internal stuff straight, and you have grown dramatically as a result. I would say you have transformed as a result. And what we're seeing now is merely an external expression of an internal shift, right? That internal shift here, massive. I said that right from the off. And it's because you've realised you can choose, right? What's the old saying? Like, pain is mandatory, suffering is optional, right? There are always going to be things that hurt. This is a Saturn card. This is a Saturn card, right? There's always work. There's always struggle. There's always a wrestling with our own limitations and then pushing them out, right? And you've decided you're not going to make yourself suffer anymore. Now, why would you? I mean, that seems a really, really strange thing to do, and yet so many of us do it, right? So this tremendous growth that's gone through here, it's like the emergence from the cocoon, because you've been through a death and rebirth process, and now you seem to me to feel pretty fucking comfortable with where you are. Now, that little snipey edge of the thing that I'm feeling here is definitely coming from your immediate environment. Now, it's not, it could be, but I feel like it's not about your immediate family. It's not about your spouse. It's not about your children or your parents. It's that peer group that's a little wider out from the centre, who can't work out what the fuck it is that you have done that's making you feel light here. I mean, your energy feels light when everybody else is in this, right? It's like this is the most obvious feeling to everybody else around you at the moment. It's like everything's hard, everything's a struggle. We're all suffering so much. How come Sag is strutting about, cantering around, centaur, just enjoying even, it seems, the process of being alive? We don't understand how Sag has done it. We also really don't like how Sag has done it, because it's actually highlighting in them projections, insecurities, all these kind of things, right? They're projecting them onto you. There's a sense here that you're getting an easier time than everybody else, and it's because they can't see what has changed within you. Now, I don't know why this is such an important thing for you to be aware of. But But I think when you start to shine quite brightly, Sagittarius, you attract everything, right? It's not, you don't just attract the good things, you also attract the bad things, or the more negative things, right? So as an additional kind of message here, I would say it is excellent what you've managed to achieve. This nugget of wisdom is something that people slog through their entire lives without realizing. It's making you quite powerful, but as your energy amps up, as people start to view you as someone who is not them and exceeding them in all sorts of things, it's really important that you make sure that your boundaries move accordingly too. It's very strange. I don't know why I should feel the need. Yeah. Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn energy, but also, self-care. Ultimately, that's for me what the Queen of Pentacles is about, right? It's about protecting what is valuable because you understand that it is valuable, and your lightness now. I feel like there are some people in your environment who are a little bit like, the whole crabs in the bucket thing, Sag, and you got to be really, really mindful of those little snippy pincers that are going to try and grab hold of your legs as they perceive you rising out of the bucket, right? Because this Nine of Cups on its side here, although you feel like you're starting to commune with the idea of that, get really in alignment with what the Nine of Cups is, and also be the embodiment of that. For those people around you who are in a considerably less healed state, there's something about that that's really vexatious, and you're kind of pointing them to the fact that they are not that, right? Now, that's not your problem. I want to make that really, really clear. That is not your problem. But you need to make sure that your boundaries are in the right place and you are protecting yourself, right? Whenever the Emperor comes up, I always hear that proverb, right? It's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. You are a warrior in the garden, and it would do you well to remember that. You don't have to hack, chop and slay and all those kind of things, although, you have that kind of militant side to you. You can do that if you need to. This is not a situation where you need to. You just need to be aware that you are drawing out like some sort of it's that weird black salve stuff that you can put on your skin that will literally suck everything out to the surface. Something about your energy seems to be doing that, and it could be a little bit jarring, but I would remind you that there's a huge pile up of planets in Scorpio. There's a depth to which people are feeling things at the moment, and in all likelihood you are part of what is being felt on a Scorpio level to people. That's for them to sort out, but just make sure that boundaries are where they're supposed to be, and don't be surprised if these things pop up unbidden, right? It's all part of the process, but there's a limit to how much you need to participate in it beyond just existing, right? It's not your problem. That's what I'm trying to say. So when we come into the rest of November, we have the Empress, we have the Knight of Wands, which is obviously your energy, and we have the Sun. What a glorious combination. Sagittarius, absolutely glorious. The Empress comes along when in a number of different instances. Sometimes she comes along as a representation of the fact that there is something new that is getting ready to be born into the world, and that's as in her position as the earthly mother of the Fool, right? Now, she is also archetypally the Queen of Queens, right? So there is an understanding that where the Empress comes along, we have all of the attributes and all of the traits of the Queens at our disposal. And this is quite important because that feminine energy is from the Queens is exactly what helps you understand your internal places so well, right? The Queen of Pentacles helps us understand what we value and what we should continue to protect and value. The Queen of Wands is our understanding of why we do things, what are our underlying motivations. The Queen of Cups is understanding how we feel, and the Queen of Swords is understanding what we think, right? All of these things are just innate within the Empress, because she is the epitome of the embodiment of that ultimate mother, archetypal mother energy of creation. Now, there's no way of looking at that Empress card without feeling the level of gratitude that is running through there. It feels like it's pouring out of every pore for you. And I don't know if this is because, no, I do. It's not because you're looking around and seeing everybody else struggle and going, well, it sucks to be them. There's no sense of that at all. The gratitude is for what you have managed to achieve within yourself, which is so very fucking hidden. Right. Now, I happen to think, Sagittarius, you're one of those signs who does the best when everything seems dark and bleak, right? You're an optimistic sign. There is a natural optimism about you, but at the same time, like, you do your best work when you have almost like an empty space in front of you to visualize shit, right? Now, the empty space for you is not, well, everything's fucked and everything's falling down. It's like, I've cleared so much space within me now, I can receive from the universe whatever it wants to beam into my head as the vision of the next step forwards, right? You've cleared the distractions. And the distractions is not the suffering and the confusion and maybe the angst of the people around you. It's the extent to which you are wedded to and responsible for it. This is what's changed in you. I said this rewriting of the internal narrative has been absolutely extraordinary. And you have freed yourself. Now, I feel like over the course of the rest of the month, and particularly as we are seeing the other signs kind of wrestling with these scorpionic themes, that there is a gratitude for what you have. There's a gratitude for your peace. There's a gratitude for your freedom. This is always going to be really important to you as a Sagittarius, right? But seeing the extent to which people are trapped by their own mind and recognizing that you too were once in that space and you're not anymore. And you're not anymore because you brought consciousness to the table, right? Conscious effort, conscious awareness, right? You literally brought the sun inside, had a look around, got rid of everything that wasn't useful. And now you're embodying these energies, and we've got this big sun energy here behind the Empress. You know, we've got the Knight of Wands who is on his horse and skittering about in cornfields. I mean, that's a very summery depiction, right? And then we've got the Sun card here. It's almost like you're carrying summer away around with you. This is what I'm talking about, the lightness of your energy, Sagittarius. Now, you know, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into winter and you know, that will be very, very visible. Obviously, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're starting to move into summer and, you know, maybe that blends in with the background just a little bit. But I don't think there's anything about you that is blending in this month, Sag. What about the Empress? We've got the the Nine of Pentacles, rather, in reverse. And whatever this is on the floor. Ooh, the Hanged Man. But the Hanged Man is also in reverse. And then we've got the Four of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles here. There's a lot about you being visible, right? And understanding that visibility is going to attract the rough and the smooth. It's going to attract the negative and the positive. You're an incredibly influential force this month. Like, the Nine of Pentacles in reverse is generally a card of how we manage our resources, right? And for the most part, those resources need to be kept close to our chest, right? Like, held lightly, but nevertheless, you know, kind of mine. That's what we see with those feathers, right? This is mine. Holding it lightly, but this is mine. Quite often when the Nine of Pentacles shows up like that, we're talking about a very disorderly approach to one's resources, right? And I would say it's just really important that you put some energy into managing those resources, right? Because they're yours and they shouldn't be being sapped by other people. But I'm finding that there's a totally different message coming through with that card. And it's in part because of this Hanged Man. Now, the Hanged Man is about stasis, it's about surrender, it's about sacrifice. These are important themes. It's also a Pisces card, this one, right? It talks about surrendering to difficult situations so that we can see the world from a totally different perspective, as the bat does, right, when it hangs itself upside down. But there's no movement here. It's a very, very passive card, right? There's no energy being expended. It is simply just vibing in place, upside down. Let's see things differently. The thing is, Sag, because you seem to be seeing everything so differently to the rest of the zodiac at the moment, there's no need for you to do that. When the Hangman shows up in reverse, it says, you've done enough of being passive. You've done enough of hanging upside down. You've seen things for long enough from a different perspective that now you're allowed to get down off the tree and you can start doing things. Now, the way that this Nine of Pentacles feels to me this month for you is actually an exhortation not to be shy about what it is that is representing a resource for you. Now, I'm not saying go and lend out all of your money, right? I'm absolutely not saying that. But I am saying that with that visibility for the right people, there is an opportunity to make a real difference. Now, there's an opportunity here for you to be almost like a bit of a cosmic mother in terms of helping people see things from a totally different perspective. It's almost like you can guide their consciousness into some sort of massive revelation for the rest of this month, right? That Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck is the underlying machinery, if you will, of our value structure, right? It's called the miser card sometimes because, like, we don't want to let anything go, because if we let it go, it won't come back to us in any kind of meaningful sense, right? It's like to let go equals loss, but what you've understood is that it isn't that. I mean, so weirdly enough, I was musing on the Hanged Man last night. I do this sometimes. I don't know if I was making dinner or something, right? Because those two words, surrender and sacrifice, they do mean something slightly different. They're not the same word. And they certainly don't have the same meaning. A sacrifice has all kinds of connotations associated with it, right? And depending on your mindset, those can be negative or they can be, angelically positive. But the one thing that I've noticed over the course of my life is that when I have made big sacrifices for things, what I've effectively been doing is surrendering to a dominant energy of the moment, right? Because I tend to fight everything tooth and fucking nail because that's just how I'm built. And it's taken a long time for me to recognize that there is an intelligence greater than mine operating in the universe. And maybe if it is saying that's enough and calling time on something, maybe it's time to let it go, right? And in every single one of those instances, what I've realized, actually not too far afterwards, is that the sacrifice never really was a sacrifice. I never really was losing anything. So that idea of surrender has far fewer negative connotations to it because it is surrendering to that higher intelligence. And I think Sagittarius are uniquely attuned to that as an idea anyway, right? And if you surrender to an energy and it calls for you to let go of something, then it never really was a sacrifice in the first place. Like, what you're sacrificing is this. It's sacrificing what you're holding on too tight to, right? Bear with me. I know I'm kind of ambulating around here a little bit, but and I think the thing that you've got in spades this month, Sag, is an understanding of where surrender isn't sacrifice. Right? It may look like sacrifice, it may quack like sacrifice, but on the other side of the process, you recognize that it is not at all, in fact, sacrifice. It is surrender. It is flow. You know, Sagittarius, Pisces, these are two signs that understand the flow of the energies of the universe innately, I think. And the problems that get caused when we've got, you know, this kind of energy that will have been inputted in childhood, right? That is kind of saying, well, like, you can't be like who you are if you want to be accepted. Now, the point of all of this and the things that I'm trying to say are that you have a perspective that actually this month needs to be shared. And to some extent, some of it may fall on deaf ears, and that's okay, because that's not really relevant. It would be lovely if we could speak and everybody hear exactly what it is that you were saying and feel exactly what it is that you were saying. And not everybody will do that. But maybe one person out of 10 will. And you'll know that person because they will... Yeah, you'll probably just fucking recognise them, actually. I feel like I'm going off on a massive tangent, right? But it's you, Sag, so I don't think that you mind too much, right? There's an elevation here. There's a benevolent energy here. But that benevolent energy isn't of the order of self-sacrifice. It's not you needing to throw yourself on your sword or bail people out with anything. It's like getting to a point where you are embodying this wounded healer archetype really fucking strongly. Like, to be able to flow in times like these is nothing short of a fucking superpower, right? But it's not a superpower as in a gift that you've just had bestowed upon you. Like, we know that you've worked for it. And between the Empress and the Sun and the Knight of Wands here, it's like, don't be stingy with it. Let it out. Because although your words may not quite hit in the way, or even your energy actually may not hit in the way that you would like right across the board, on the people that it does, it's going to make all the difference. There's something here about you kind of stepping into a role that was always yours, but doing it from a place that is truly... wow. Divinely guided, Sag. Three of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. So many people are struggling, so many people are feeling pain, so many people are stuck inside their own heads and their own hearts. You're supposed to be seen this month. And if people approach you in the spirit of curiosity to find out what it is that you know, I wouldn't be stingy with that information. I would give it out. The Wheel of Fortune here, I feel, turning in a way that we can't perceive to really situate you in this position of caring guide, caring leader, caring teacher, the warrior in the garden. You're an inspiration this month, Sag, and I think it's really important that you take that seriously, right? You don't need to go find people to proselytize to. The people will find you. But just be aware that you may irritate as many people as you do inspire, and that's okay, because actually even the irritation performs a function, you know? Wow. I've been prattling on for ages. I'm going to go to the extended now because I want to dig into... I mean, these are huge energies, and it's the energy of giving, and it's actively giving, right? So we're going to dig into this a little bit more. If you would like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Selfite. You can do that on Circle. The links for both are in the description box below. If that's not your thing, that's fine. But just recognize how visible an energy you are now, and be mindful of that in terms of what it may trigger in others, because it'll trigger some good things and it'll probably trigger some not so good things, right? And you have to kind of find your flow in between the two. Right. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.